time is 12 o'clock. Here is the midday news. First, the top stories. Ogun State PDP Excos rejects dissolution by convention delegates. Obasanjo asks youths to join politics to seek elective office. Former Vice President Abubakar warns of consequence of ethnic quick notice. 3 died, 4 injured in collapsed building in Owerri, Imo State. In foreign, 18 killed in terrorist attack on restaurant in Burkina Faso, and Kenya defeated opposition candidates as supporters to stay at home. Good afternoon, I am Chienye Egwuonwu, bringing you the news and details shortly. The Ogun State PDP Executive Committee has rejected its dissolution by the delegates to the PDP non-elected National Convention last Saturday in Abuja. The delegates dissolved the committee, which is loyal to the Alimodushere faction. Also dissolved by the delegates were the PDP Executive Committees in Lagos, Osun, Adamawa, Anambra, Borno, Kebbi, and Kwara states. They ordered the Ahmed Makarfi National Caretaker Committee, whose tenure was renewed at the convention, to organize fresh election into the dissolved state executive committees within the next 3 months. Speaking to Rock City FM in Abeokuta, the Ogun State Secretary of the dissolved executive committee, Alhaji Semiu Shodipo, says their faction is still in control of the party in the state. Shodipo explains that PDP non-elective National Convention lacks the power to dissolve the Ogun State PDP committee because it is the only PDP executive committee recognized by the court in the state. Shodipo threatens that the state executive committee will sue the Makarfi Caretaker Committee and the PDP for contempt of court if the National Caretaker Committee goes ahead with the plan to hold fresh elections to constitute a new committee in the state. Both the faction and that of Alhaji Sikiruna Ogundele faction, who are loyal to the PDP National Caretaker Chairman, had been struggling for the control of the party's state secretariat in Abeokuta since the Supreme Court sacking of Senator Alimodushere as the national chairman last July. Africa Export and Import Bank, Afreximbank, and the Ogun State government are working together to build an industrial park and an international certification center in the state. The proposed project to be sited on a 5 hectares of land is designed to add value to products from Nigeria to meet food and export standards. Governor Ibikole Amoso, speaking on the project while receiving a delegation of Afreximbank at the governor's office, Kimoso in Abeokuta, says he is happy that the project is to be sited in the state. The bank's regional manager for Anglophone West Africa, Abdullahi Kun, says the proposed project will serve as the bank's trade finance between Ogun State, ECOWAS, and Nigeria. He explains that the proposed industrial park and certification center will generate more export from Ogun State and Nigeria. It will provide assistance in trade, industrialization, and export management. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has asked Nigerian youths to join partisan politics and seek elective posts. Old generation politicians, according to Obasanjo, will not quit politics for them. Obasanjo says their participation is critical because Nigeria is in need of a leader who are academically sound. The former president spoke on the issue in Abeokuta at the Youth Governance Dialogue to mark this year's International Youth Day 2017 at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library Complex. He asked Nigerian youths to prepare themselves to aspire to elective offices, especially now that the age of contestants for the elective office, such as presidency, governorship, and National Assembly membership, is to be lowered. Asking youths to stop complaining, Obasanjo says that they have to work hard as nobody will choose them. Gunmen have killed 2 persons, including a policeman, in an attack in front of a church in Onitsha in Anambra State. The gunmen killed the victims at the parish of the Assemblies of God Church along Ugota Road in the city. The attack occurred a week after a gunman killed 13 worshippers and injured 27 at the St. Philip's Catholic Church in Ozubulu, Also in the state police commissioner Garba Omar says the gunmen were not targeting the Assemblies of God Church. The police commissioner explains that the gunmen attacked policemen on a patrol and carted away the rifle of the killed policeman. A former presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has warned that the quick notices that are being issued by youths in the North and Niger Delta region to non-indigens need to be checked urgently. Abubakar, who is a former vice president, in a statement describes the quick notice issued by northern youths to quit the region and the one by Niger Delta group to Northerners and Yoruba to leave South-South region as misguided. He warns that retaliatory quick notice on the non-indigens, which amounts to eye for an eye, will leave Nigeria blind. The former vice president calls for the inclusion of the state of residence clause in the proposed restructuring of Nigeria to guard against the tendencies. Nigeria Meteorological Agency (NIMET) has accused state and local governments of ignoring its earlier prediction of heavy rainfall and massive flood. The agency director general, Professor Sani Mashi, says the state and local governments failed to take precautionary measures despite NIMET alerts to mitigate the harsh effects of the predicted flood. For instance, Mashi also recalls that those living in the floodplains are expected to have vacated their homes before the rains set in. Because the state and local governments failed to heed NIMET's warning, he says the presidency was saddled with the responsibilities of coping with the challenges of the massive flooding recorded in most parts of the country. A story building has collapsed in Owerri, the Imo State capital, leaving 4 people dead. 3 of the 7 persons who survived in the collapsed building were also injured. Those killed in the collapsed building included an 18-month-old baby. The parents of the baby, Mr. and Mrs. Dominic Nabo, and another person were injured, while 2 others and other persons were trapped. You're still listening to the Midday News on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business, and sports news. Please do stay with us. Now in foreign, 18 people have been killed and a number have been wounded in terrorist attack in the center of the capital of Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. Gunmen opened fire on customers seated outside the Aziz Istanbul restaurant, according to witnesses. Authorities say the attack is now over, with at least 2 assailants killed by security forces. Minister of Communication, Remis Denjinu, confirmed that the attack was over, with security forces carrying out checks on neighboring buildings. Police Captain Guy Yu said the attackers had arrived on motorcycles and had begun shooting randomly. Meanwhile, Turkey's foreign ministry has confirmed that one of the dead was Turkish. Unconfirmed reports say another was French. The attack is similar to the one in January 2016, when gunmen targeted the Splendid Hotel and the Cappuccino restaurant, only 200 meters further along Kwame Nkrumah Avenue from the scene of the latest attack, and more than 170 people were taken hostage and 30 were killed. Kenya's opposition leader has urged people to stay away from work today over the disputed election results. Raila Odinga said it will be a day of mourning for the fallen patriots after a rally in Kibera, the largest slum in the capital, Nairobi. The international community has urged calm following the election, which Mr. Odinga alleges was fixed. But after Mr. Odinga spoke on Sunday, renewed violence broke out between his supporters and their opponents. Police fired tear gas in Mathur, a slum where Mr. Odinga met the family of a 9-year-old girl who was hit by a stray bullet. FP is reporting that at least 16 people were killed between Friday evening and Saturday night. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights said on Saturday 24 people had been shot dead during protests since Election Day on August 8th. Next is the business news. Chinese banks are to invest massively in Nigeria's oil and gas projects. The Group Managing Director of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Dr. Maikanti Baru, made this known while receiving a delegation of Nigeria Gas Association in his office in Abuja. The Chinese banks, according to him, made the commitment at a recent meeting in London when it pledged $250 million investment in the oil and gas sector. The NNPC Group Managing Director also unveiled a program by the corporation to expand gas generation and distribution nationwide to 10 gigawatts by year 2020. He explains that a lot had been achieved in the contracting process of $2.7 billion at Jalkuta, Kaduna, and Kano gas pipeline project. NNPC, according to him, is also implementing the Ogidigben Gas Industrial City project in Delta State. Finally, sports news. Benin has recorded a surprise 1-0 win over Nigeria in the 2018 African Nations Championship qualifier on Sunday. The West Zone B first leg encounter was played at the Stade de l'Amitié in the capital city of Benin, Cotonou. The Squirrels and the Super Eagles tried to settle down to dictate pace of the game in the first 15 minutes of the encounter. It was end-to-end stuff as Kingsley Egwuonwu went close for Nigeria 2 minutes later, but it was denied by Benin goalkeeper Steve Gloginon. However, the two sides were unable to break the deadlock, and the score was 0-0 at the half-time break. The Squirrels were awarded a late penalty when Hafiz Aremu brought down a Beninois player in the Super Eagles box. Bama Saibo then stepped up and hit the back of the net in the 89th minute, and Benin ran out as 1-0 winners. Remo Stars have become the first club to be relegated from the 2016-2017 Nigeria Professional Football League season. The Sky Blues' relegation to Nigeria's second-tier division was confirmed after they suffered a 3-1 defeat at home to Rivers United, with 4 matches remaining to play. They needed a win over Rivers United to keep their faint hopes of survival alive, but goals from Bernard Ovoke, Emeka Obu, and Esosa Igbinobar in the second half ensured Salifu Uchewuchi's late strike was a mere consolation for the hosts. The 3-1 win was Rivers United's first victory away from home this season, while the results condemned Remo Stars to the Nigeria National League. After 34 match days, Remo Stars have only managed 29 points. That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Ogun State PDP Exco rejected the solution by convention delegates. Obasanjo asked youths to join politics to seek elective office. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar warned of consequence of ethnic footnotice. And 4 died, 3 others injured in collapsed building in Owerri. While in foreign, we also told you that 18 killed in terrorist attack on restaurant in Burkina Faso. And Kenya defeated opposition candidates and asked supporters to stay at home. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you for listening. I am Chienye. Good afternoon.